DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. Now, you're probably wondering if we're going to have a lovely little theme song like Ben had tonight. No, we're not.
No.
We could sing, but no, we're not.
If we were going to have a theme song, I'd have picked it.
Yeah, it would have been much better than You Light Up My Life.
I got some of my teeth. That sucks. What the hell?
Yeah,
there we go.
Light Up My Life wouldn't have been our choice for tonight's show. But hey, thank you guys for being with us tonight. We are coming to you live on Facebook and on YouTube. I hope. Yes, we are on both. Nice. Everything seems to be working. Awesome.
Hello, everybody. Like the video if you are so kind.
Yeah.
And go down there, and if you've hit the subscribe button, great. But don't forget to ring the bell next to it either. It'll notify you whenever something pops up on this channel, so you can watch it.
The bell. Yes, that's right.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. We should have like that little bell on the side. Like when you go to those little crappy fast food restaurants and ring the bell if you had good service.
I'm gonna have Jimmy make me a little thing at the end of all my videos where I tell people, if you want to support the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, like and comment.
Yeah, and it'll be helping across the board.
I just can't help myself. I have to do it.
We've talked about for the people, because this past weekend I spent a lot of time shooting video on speakers, and I had the 3 different array systems in the office here and did some things. And of course, there's people who are just like, you can't, dude. I don't have infinite funds to go buy every damn speaker out there. I'm just gonna put that out there. And then, so you get what I got. That's the best that's going to happen. So, you should have this and you should have that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll be happy to.
We'll jump all over that. So I do it, and then you get the people who are, they send you a private message. It's like, dude, if you don't like it that much, please put that comment down below, because what'll happen is, first off, YouTube will still give us credit for having a comment. Like it or not, they don't care. They just want to see engagement. And then some people who appreciate what we do will go and rip you a new one. And I love those. I love those little things.
Yeah, the loyalists, if you will.
Yeah, so I'm good with that. Just make sure your hate messages, wait till the video's done, and then put them at the bottom. Thank you.
So welcome, everybody.
So yes, we're going to be talking about doing emergency type events. We've all had them where we've gotten that call at the last minute. And this past weekend, Brian had one of those events. So we're going to kind of go through, and Brian can give us a little bit of how it came about, and then we'll just talk about some thoughts and such. Because if you have had, there's unique challenges with them, and if you haven't done one before, it's nice to be able to be ready for when these do eventually come up. Because as your name gets out there more, you will have them. So, Brian, tell us, last Tuesday when we talked, of course, we had our show, you were having the weekend off. So what changed?
Well, I've talked about this before. I did take a light load this summer because I wanted to do some things with my father. That was the plan. I didn't want to be in constant wedding prep. So I intentionally took a very light load from DJing. And then as many of you may know, I lost my dad at the end of June. So to make a long story short, I found myself with really nothing to do this summer outside of, the stuff that has been thrust upon me since I lost my dad, which is a lot of cleaning and things. But, the money's good. I need dough, and I'm not really working. So I went ahead and I put it out there. I said, look, I'm available this summer if anything pops up last minute, and it turned out a lot of things popped up last minute.
Yeah.
And things continue to pop up last minute. In fact, when I spoke to you last week, I had one event that I had to do this month, and it was this coming weekend.
Okay.
As I'm speaking to you now, I have no weekends available.
Holy cats.
I have nothing available. One thing that I'm doing is a business trip. Another thing I'm doing, well, I did the gig last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I just booked the last weekend of the month, the 29th or 28th or whatever it is, yesterday.
Very nice.
So it's filling up very fast. And I just booked an October 31st, thanks to Big Ron, which is a Wednesday, goofy wedding date, but it's a wedding on a Wednesday. I just booked that today. So yeah, a couple things. Number one, if you find yourself without any work for whatever reason, it's not a bad idea to put yourself out there that you are available for emergency work, because as I guess, case in point here, it's available.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. And it happens for a multitude of reasons. It's not just the DJ got sick or the DJ's equipment got stolen or whatever. Sometimes it's the client just dropped the ball and didn't book.
Yeah.
It could be, it doesn't matter why. That's the big question. Well, why didn't the DJ come? It doesn't matter why. What matters is there's an available event for you. And if you're ready, you can go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been lucrative. It's been interesting. It's been fun. And it's been, I guess, just super cool to prove the point that if you want work, if you really want work, you can get it. You just have to reach out to your peers and let them know that you need the work or that you're available, and you become an asset to them when something comes along. And there's this guy in Chicago who I do work for once in a while. Of course, he's calling me for all the dates that I just booked.
Oh.
He's calling me for last weekend that I couldn't do. He's calling me for the September 15th that I can't do. He's calling me for, what is it? I guess it's the 21st next week that I can't do. And he's begging me to farm the gig out to somebody else because he's got something for me. So it's not like one gig comes along. I'm getting multiple offers for last minute work. It's a good thing. And quite frankly, it's a hell of a lot easier than coming in and dating this couple for 6 months with phone calls and meetings and everything else. You can walk into an event, be a rock star, and get the same or if not better result coming last minute. So I'm wondering if I even want to try to book clients, months out anymore. This is just easier because you come in, you're the hero, and you knock it out. There's not a lot of time to overthink it. You just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to listen to you, and they appreciate you. It's been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I've done numerous over the year, and I've found after I've done a couple, especially when they're successful events, there have been some not so great, but most of them have been very good experiences. And you're at the end of it, it's like, gosh, we had a great wedding and we planned this in 3 days. Do I really need to be planning for 6 months? Man, we could just put this together in 3 days and everything.
I was joking around about this with somebody. I'm like, look, I don't need to date this woman. She's already getting married to someone else. So I don't need to have this relationship with her and learn all about her quirks and her hot buttons and what makes her happy. I don't need to do this. I came in on last week's event. I got the call right before 6 o'clock the previous evening. And I jumped on it. Mm-hmm. And I did 8 hours of solid prep. But let me just clarify that. That was not only putting together a timeline based on whatever information she had for me and dealing with an agent and dealing with whoever threw the event to the agent. That was also technical prep too, which you have at every event. That was loading. That was music updates. That was trying to figure out a cocktail system for them because I didn't have a plan for it. The LD Systems Maui 5 Go is a heck of a go-to on that. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't really thought about it as a cocktail system. it's easier than doing it as a ceremony system, but I had to charge lights and a lot of things. So there was technical prep. It wasn't just, diligently, making timelines and things. It was a variety of things. Oh, and I needed more lighting than I had because I didn't think I had a gig last weekend. So Art, my friend Art, he had my Element Hex bars, and I needed them because I needed more lights. So I had to get a hold of Art, and I had to get those lights. So that was a total of 8 hours. Everything just jumping on it. I was done at 2 a.m, and I think I did a video on it when I was done with it. But it was good. It was a really, really good event, and it was cool because I came in as the hero.
Certainly. So
and everything flowed very nice.
So you got the call and such. Now, how you went into prep mode or wedding the wedding planning mode? How much conversation were you able to have with getting the bride and groom the songs and different things that they were wanting? How'd you work that?
Well, I'll take you through the whole process. So the phone rings, and I'm ready to buy shocks for my Mustang. I'm ready to click buy it now. That's the mode I'm in on a Friday night. I'm chilling out, and I get the call, and it's like, hey, are you available tomorrow to do a wedding? And at first you're like, okay, here we go. So there's a little bit of a pause, and then you just go ahead and, sure, what's up? And then they give you the bits and pieces they have. And this was through the agency. Someone had contacted the agency to find a DJ. It was another company that for whatever reason couldn't do the event. So they're like, okay, great. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. I need some information here. Is this the average size party, or do I need extra sound reinforcement?
Yeah.
No, it's like 200 or less. Okay. Just reception. Yes, just reception. Okay. So a 200-person reception. And I know the location. It's actually right down the road. That's not a problem. Anything else? Well, yes. They want multicolored uplighting. Okay. How many fixtures are we talking? I'm not sure. Because what I want to know is what the client has been promised.
Yeah, precisely.
And it doesn't matter if I can deliver it or not. What matters is what I'm prepared to go ahead and come in and do.
Yeah.
They said, oh yeah. And they wanted to, and it's photo booth and it's slideshow with projector and screen.
Okay.
I said, okay, I can't do that. You can't do slideshow, projector and screen and photo booth? No, I don't have the staff for it. I don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
Doing this by myself, this is a last minute emergency gig. I'm prepared to go in there, provide a reasonable amount of uplighting for them, and DJ a wedding reception. One setup, one breakdown. I'm prepared to do that, and here's what I want for it. Okay, I think we can make that happen. So you wait. You get the call back. Yeah, no problem. They're talking about between 12 and 18 lights for uplighting. They were kind of vague about it, but that's what they was. So just the lighting and DJing is it. Yes. Okay, done. Where am I going? Who am I talking to? What's going on here? So you tell me. And I was able to get a hold of the client right after I got a hold of them. Actually, they were having their rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, they'd be doing that.
And they're getting this news at the rehearsal dinner that their DJ cannot come, and this sub has stepped in.
Oh no!
So I've called look, I'm Brian. I'm your booby praise for tomorrow, but you're in good hands. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Right. I took the summer off, but it's no problem. I can come in and do this for you.
Yep.
And I got all their information on, what's your first song? What do you want for this? What do you want for this? Quick timeline. I knocked it out in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And one of the first things they said was, well, we are having that cocktail outdoors. So you're able to play music for that too, right? Well, I wasn't aware of a cocktail outdoors. But let me go back and talk to these folks. I think I can make this happen for you.
Sure.
Well, we want some specific music for the cocktail. Okay, well, why don't you let me know what those songs are?
Mm-hmm.
So they did. It's like, okay, I got like 5 songs. I totally get the vibe of what you're going for. I can make this happen for you. I tell you what, I'll put this timeline together. I will email it to you after 10:30 tonight. When I know you're home, I will text you and let you know when I sent that email. Have a look. These are just my personal notes. But if there's anything on there that looks like it's wrong, let me know. We'll fix it. But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You're saving our lives right now.
Sure.
Hey, that's what I do. So I call the agency back and I'm like, look, these people did not let us know about a remote cocktail. Like, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, I can make it happen. I can do this. I have a really nice system to do this.
Yes.
But it ain't free. So I'm going to need this on top of that to do it. And if they're prepared to pay it, then I'm prepared to do it. All right, let me make the call. So they did whatever they did, and they got the text message back. All good. And not only that, but the total balance was paid by credit card before I even dove into prep.
Very nice.
I mean, before I dove into technical prep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd done already, obviously, talked to people and got the ball rolling, but I wasn't going to load a truck without a check in the mail.
Yeah, for sure.
So, the agency was like, look, we're going to do it this way. And I'm like, okay, cool. I appreciate that. Let me know when you get it and it clears and I'm on it. And it's a done deal. So that was it. I showed up. Art, my friend Art, show. He, obviously knew I was doing this because I had to call him on lights, but he wasn't doing anything yesterday. And he does live pretty close to me. He's like, dude, let me get you in and out of there quick because I'm available. So let me just help you, which I really appreciated. That was very nice of him. With the extra lighting and just the sheer weight of the extra lighting in cases was very helpful.
Certainly.
When you're in a situation like mine and you're not able to just do anything, you have this like certain system that you can use. I call it the micro system. I have several different ones. When you start doing add-ons onto it, it really throws the monkey wrench into things. You can no longer do this one cartload that you've planned out to haul in, or this one trip, or think about even lighting. When I'm doing 12 lights around a room, one-handed, I'm dragging the stuff around a room, I'm turning it on, I'm setting it on the ground and aiming it, then getting back up and going and getting another light. And that's
a workout.
For a guy like me, it's a lot of work. I can't double hand this stuff. It's not easy. So that help was very much appreciated. Could I have done it without him? Yeah, I could have done it without him. But it was so nice to have the help, especially in this case, because I have people coming up to me saying either thank you or do you know these people who aren't here? And what about our pictures? And what about our refund on this? And what about our this and this and this?
Oh no!
I'm your lifeline. I jumped in to take care of you. I don't know this. I don't know this company that for whatever reason couldn't do it last minute.
Right.
I don't know who they are. I don't know why they couldn't do it either. And quite frankly, I don't want to know. It's nice to not know, because then when people say what happened, I can say, I don't know. But what I do know is that I can be here for you.
Yeah. Yeah. The important part.
I'm here. And I told them, I said, look, I don't mean for this to sound bad. I don't know this company. I don't know these DJs, but what I can tell you is that I think you've made a lucky mistake. I've been doing this for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do a lot worse than to have me show up on your wedding day. And there might be some people watching this broadcast who might be looking at me saying, well, that was a really arrogant thing for you to say, BSR. I'm a pretty humble guy, but when it really comes down to it, I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at what I do. There's a reason that I'm here and you guys are listening to me. It's not because I suck. So you could do a lot worse than have me show up on your wedding day to DJ your reception or whatever you have going on. And it went really well, very well. The client was incredibly happy. I believe that I exceeded expectations. No matter who they were set for, be it me or the other DJ, I believe I exceeded expectations. Some weird stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
The hall that we were at, it's a beautiful place. There are these really cool rock star loft apartments like you used to see only in places like Greenwich Village back 30 years ago, but now there are in every major city. All the old factories, you know, they're $1 million places plus. They're huge properties. But seeing how there are residents up there when you're working in the main level banquet facility, you've got a decibel limit.
Oh, I bet.
It's kind of like playing at a hotel, an old hotel. It's the same thing. So, you know, they're telling me 90 decibels. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 90 decibels. But the good news is the hall manager or whoever, the banquets manager there, had no concept as to what 90 decibels really was. So, I mean, really. So what I did was I brought the Evolve 50 system. I pumped up the mid-range higher than I normally do. I pumped down the bass a lot more than I normally do. Certain songs, I went ahead and gave it a little bit until the 10 o'clock hour roll around. But I mean, other than that, I had a volume issue. And it was a large space. If you saw the gig log, you'll see that this was a big space to fill. And if I hadn't had volume restrictions, I could have filled the space very nicely with the Evolve 50 system. I believe I could have.
Sure.
But I had those volume restrictions, so I had to kind of keep it down. The good news is the bar was right next to me. The folks who were there were either near the bar or on the dance floor all night. They weren't really anywhere else. They were partiers.
Very nice. And
they went strong until the end. So that was a snag that I wouldn't have liked to have had at any wedding. These I believe unreasonable volume restrictions. I mean, come on, if you're gonna have a banquet facility where you're gonna have music and live music and things like that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I just no. If I owned a building like that and I said, oh, you know what, we could put a banquet facility down here with a bar and do weddings, but we can only do 90 dB levels. Like, no, then we can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not gonna work. But they sell the place out. There were 2 different couples going through the place to look at it, to book it while I was setting up for cocktail outside. So it's a popular venue and it's a beautiful venue. And they bring in their own catering and whatever. And it's a cool location. Right. Well, it's you remember your tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's right before you go under the bridge and end up downtown. Like if you're going up my street, we go through the 3rd ward. It's right at the edge of the 3rd ward. Remember where the Milwaukee Market was?
Yeah.
Under the bridge?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know the bridge area. Yeah.
Okay. A block west is where this place was. On that street that runs right along the freeway, just a block west. So great location.
Yeah.
But yeah, the unfortunately the sound limitations, the unreasonable sound limitations for the size space that was a little rough. If it had been half that size, I guess it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But it's so lofty, forgive the pun, it's a loft, that you do need to be able to crank it up a little bit. So I don't know if I answered your question or covered things or what, but
you went through kind of, and we've had a couple of questions and such, or thoughts that were shared with that. I wanted to let's talk about the pricing. Somebody asked about when you have last minute events. That's always a question. Do you, because there's not as much time invested in the planning and things. Does a person quote your regular rate? Do you bump it up because of the last minute thing, or do you do a discounted rate since you don't have as much time into it? What are your opinions on that?
Well, my thoughts on it are this. I look at pricing for pretty much anything like you would pricing for equipment in our industry.
Yep, and we talked about that.
So you've got whatever the dealer price is. You've got minimum advertised price, which is MAP price. Then you have a retail price. Okay. So a lot of times we like to come in at a retail price. I know you do. You come in at close to $3,000 on most of your events. On the other hand, there's the minimum advertised price where you're still making some cash. You don't want to, you don't want to really go lower than that if you don't have to, but if you need to, you can. Then you have your dealer price, which is kind of like what you got into this. This is a reasonable amount of money, plus it covers your costs,
Sure.
including
Yep.
equipment rental. So my thought on this is, why not just come in at MAP price? You're going to make money. You're not gouging anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in gouging. You know, we've got a hurricane that's hitting right now. You know, anybody there who's charging anybody more for water than what water costs them is there's a special place in hell for those people.
Right.
I don't like that. Yes, there's a supply and demand issue. I understand that. But, you know, you got people freaking out about an event that's going to happen. If you have the scope of work in your head, you know what the scope of work is. I would charge what you would normally reasonably charge somebody. I don't think I would come in extra high. I definitely wouldn't discount it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to discount it at all. In fact, don't go in at a discount because you got to hustle. One thought that I've had is, and I've talked about this in videos, and I think I'm going to do it for the remainder of the season. I'm going to keep a truck loaded at all times.
Yep.
And I haven't been doing that, but I have the vehicle to do it. If I've had to unload the vehicle because I've had family in town and I've had things going on where I've needed my hot rod school bus for things, you know, haul passengers. My pickup truck does just fine. It's doing everything I need it to do. I think I'm going to leave my truck locked and loaded. The only exception to that would be anything that needs charging or computers. The weather is great here right now. We're in the 70s most of the time. Nothing's getting hot anymore.
Yeah.
It's safe, I think, to just go ahead and leave that stuff in the truck. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I were to get a call on Friday morning and someone were to said, look, a TJ bailed for tonight.
Yeah.
And I was feeling pretty good, meaning that I didn't feel like I had a cold or anything. I gotten my rest. I'd taken my vitamins, my old man multivitamin, you know. Maybe I go ahead and do that for him. Maybe I go ahead and do that Friday night gig for him, and then I just have to come back and do a Saturday. So just if I'm locked and loaded, I think I'll be all right. I think it would be a good service to have, and just kind of keep letting people know, hey, I'm here. If you need me, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I haven't, you know, I've even thought about starting some kind of little website or something, Milwaukee Emergency DJ Service.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know,
Yes.
It's available when it's available, but you can call me first. And I could even, you know, keep it updated, you know, dates still available for this month, dates still available for, you know, whatever. Call me. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I won't do, and my friend in Chicago who wants me to work is very disappointed that I won't do it, is that if I get an event for next week, or I have a commitment that I've made next week, I don't care how much money they throw at me, I'm not going to break that commitment. Once I make a commitment, I've made a commitment.
Yep.
That's one thing that you know, I believe in. And the reason I believe in it is because, quite frankly, I'm not Rock and Tunes DJ Service. I'm Brian Red.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only thing I got is my name. That's all I got. So if my word is good, then it's worth something. If I could be bought for monetary, you know, things and bail on somebody or whatever, because I got a better offer, my name isn't worth as much anymore. So that I won't do. I won't bail for greener pastures.
Mm-hmm.
If I've made the commitment, I've made the commitment. But then let's go back to what we talked about with price, though. That's why we don't discount it. That's why we go in at a reasonable price for the event. You don't have to discount it, but you don't have to jack it up to retail either. So.
Yeah, that's always a real tough one. I've done it both ways. There've been times where we had 48 hours, and I knew I was basically going to be living at the facility, and with setup and planning and prep and such, which is so my rate actually went up because there was more things needed as you saw.
Well, that's a scope of work thing, though.
And then I've had some where it's like, you know, I have nothing going on this weekend, and they just needed something really simple and small. And typically, if I'd have booked that type of an event, I would have probably been at at this amount, but you know what? I can make it quick and easy, and I can do it. So it really becomes that kind of that scope of, as you say, scope of work.
It's all about scope of work. I mean, no matter what, you need to look at the scope of work on this. I mean, notice when we talked about, when I walked you guys through Friday, I didn't just say, yeah, I'll do it. It'll be $1,000. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on? Where are we going? How many people? What have they promised them? What can I deliver them and what can't I deliver them reasonably? What can I commit to? I can't commit to photo booth right now. I can't commit to a slideshow and all. No. And the reason I couldn't commit to that was not only was I not prepared for it, but you need staff for that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's enough that I have to go in there and jump into I don't want to say a strange, but it is kind of a foreign situation as the DJ. I don't need more crap to do. Now, if these things are going to make or break the event, call somebody else who can handle it.
Yeah,
if
that's
somebody to go in and do it, then I'm willing to commit and do this. And again, if there's I tried to drag it out of them. What else?
Mm-hmm.
And I still didn't even know about that remote cocktail system until I talked to the client.
Yeah.
So it's very important to get the scope of work, and it's very important to quote for scope of work. So I was quoting for doing a 7-hour event, which is a long event, but it was a 7-hour event with lighting. A 7-hour wedding with lighting is what I was quoting for.
Sure.
And once we came in for a cocktail, it went up.
Yeah.
Was I kind about it? Yeah, I think I was more than fair,
mm-hmm.
but I wasn't going to load anything into that truck until I got a commitment on that number that I asked for.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's for
so.
You mentioned
fair but firm. How's that sound?
That's a great way to describe it. You mentioned, of course, that the agency took a credit card. Now we're going to talk about the pay when it comes to last minute events, because this has been one that I have done successfully, and I have gotten bitten in the butt on a couple of occasions. To go back, you had the credit card, the payment was made before you started the real in-depth work on the process.
Yeah.
Is that something you typically want to get a credit card and payment if you have someone calling last minute, or how would you typically have handled that if it would be somebody calling you directly?
Well, that's something that I need to work out, because there are systems out there where you can do this. Square is the one I keep hearing about.
Yeah.
And you can set up Square relatively expensive and make it happen. I mean, I guess in a pinch, you could use your PayPal, right?
Yep, and I have used that. I've actually had a couple that logged into PayPal and they sent the money over, and of course PayPal and credit cards, they can dispute if they really want to after it's over. I mean, there's some protections, but there's not. But very few people who sign a contract of some sort can get, if you turn in your paperwork, in either case, you're most likely to get your money from it. So it's the best way. Right. But unless you're getting a handful of green as you walk in the door, which is, I did that last month. Yeah. I mean, it's a positive or negative, because yes, I now know, these $100 bills are good. I'm great. And I've gotten paid, but up until that point that they hand me the green. Right. You're there with a truck full of gear. I'm there with a truck full of gear, and I could be just another babysitters and you've made the trip. But I did that last month. And in fact, I wasn't sure. Everything just sounded really strange to me. And I was a little, I don't know. I guess I had a couple of red flags, and I was like, oh man, what am I getting myself into here? Yep. I go there, there are people there, and the client's not there yet, and they keep calling and saying, we're on our way, we're on our way, we're on our way, we're on our way. And I sat there thinking to myself, I'm going to have to hustle so hard to set this up, but I'm not opening this truck until I got money in my hand. I'm not doing it. Yep. I don't mean to be that guy. I really don't, but I'm not doing it. Yep. Because once I'm set up and they come in, they're going to go, oh, let's just go. And then, oh, we forgot the envelope. And yeah, I sat in that parking lot until they showed up. They handed me the envelope first thing, and I loaded in. I didn't even count the envelope. I just had it in my hand. I didn't even count the money.
I just knew I had something in my hand and I went for it.
I always feel so weird when they hand you the envelope and it's like, oh, just a second, I don't trust you, so I'm going to open this up. And I mean, it shouldn't be, but I always just feel kind of weird, counting. And
I do too. And I think if you take that and shove it in your pocket, you're giving you're showing them some earnest that okay, yeah, it's not that I didn't trust you. I just, okay, we're cool. This is all I needed to see.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I was in the door and I got set up, I opened it up and counted it. But,
yep.
There's something in there that was green. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's always a way to dispute a credit card or whatever, but I think that's probably usually the safest way to go about doing it.
Yeah.
It's just do it that way. I like to get paid by the client after the event. And the reason I like that is because that's when they're thinking about money and they're thinking about the tip.
Yes, there is
so
that
that's
too.
always been the way I've liked to do it. But we're talking about somebody you're familiar with and you have a relationship with after a year to 6 months or however long it's been that you've contracted the event.
A little bit different
Now
story.
we're talking about people we just met. I mean, we haven't met them yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's last minute stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And you must be the gal wearing a white dress. You're the bride. It's nice to see you. So last minute gigs. One of the very first ones, probably within our first 2 or 3 years, we were at the Holiday Inn, and they called. It was these. And you guys, if you haven't heard these stories, some of the common stories, red flag stories are, the DJ backed out on us because they canceled on us, and then you started asking the questions, and they never signed. The DJ never got a contract to them. Well, I actually known a few DJs, and I've talked to them, and they're like, "Yeah, I've sent the contract, and I've been waiting on it, and they never got back to me. We booked somebody else." So they blamed the DJ on that one, and I've had that situations where I
got a cough. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. So, and they've been a problem child with that. So. That's one of the stories that you're, and then there's been the ones where a family member of the DJ, DJs have actually canceled because they've had my uncle just died or my grandpa just died. I've had DJs who have had their grandpa die 4 times in one season. Probably though the second to the worst incident was a Wednesday call. They were having this wedding. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn, and they called and they're like, okay, what we'll do is we'll have cash when you get there. So Lori and I arrive at the Holiday Inn, and because of 2 of us, I went to start setting up and she went to go and collect the cash before we start. Well, they had like $50 that they gave her, and it's like she came back, she goes, they only have $50, and it's like we're not starting until, and here's where I screwed up. I said we're not going to start until at least we have half of the money that we're getting paid for tonight, which would have been $500. So she had gone back and she mentioned that to them. So they go over and they start shotgunning through the cards, opening cards to get enough cash to pay us the $250 to get started. And then we'll finish opening up the cards and get you the rest by the end of the night. 12 o'clock ending, 11:45, the guests are still there. The bride and groom zip out, and we can't find any of the family. As far as the parents are gone, the bride and groom are gone, and we're sitting there with no $250. And after the fact, trying to get a hold of them, completely couldn't do it. Wasn't even worth the time because, unfortunately, being it was last minute, we didn't have time enough to get a contract back and forth because the mail at that time was 2 days to get there, 2 days to get back. Right. There was no fast thing.
Oh yeah, there are never any guarantees in life.
Yeah, so that was a nasty one. The second one was about 10 days out, 10 days notice, and the gentleman called us. And Lori was open. I was booked at the time. So Lori and I went down. We met with him on a Sunday for their following weekend's wedding. And the bride was great. And we talked to her, and her parents were there, and everyone was great. And he's like, okay, I'll give you a check for $100 down. So he took the $100 down payment and such. And then he said the night of then we'll get you a check for the balance. Okay, no problem. And it was at that time because they wanted more things and different. And we decided to quote this one high because it wasn't next door. It was about an hour and a half drive for her. So it was about a $1,800 to $2,000 contract, which at the time we were probably around $800 to $900. But that's because of the time and things. It's like, this is what we're going to do, and to make it worth Lori's time to go. So fast forward to Saturday, she does the wedding. He comes up there and he cuts her a check for the balance, and everything's fine and good. Turns out the guy's a professional check bouncer, and the check bounces. It takes about 3 weeks for us to find out because of how the checks worked through our bank at that time. They would send it in, gets sent back for insufficient funds. The bank sends it in again. Then finally we find out about it. So we take the guy to small claims court. We find out that in the county that he lives, that this is what he does. And what he will do, but the officer was telling us, is he will write you out a check, another check. And as soon as you cash that second check, then you're done. And it's like, oh, wait a second. He did that already. He sent us a payment for $100. We cashed the second $100. Now we're up to $200 that we've been paid for that. And when we went to the small claims court, the judge, he obviously, you got your retainer, and he tried to make a payment to make it right. And because he tried to make it right, and you took that money, that would be basically you admitting that you were being paid in full for the day. So you have no grounds to sue him unless you want to go file a lawsuit against his house. Oh, by the way, he doesn't own his house because it's in his wife's name because this guy does this. Talking to the sheriff, he was telling us that he has bought cars, he has bought jewelry, he has bought clothing, he has bought his whole daughter's wedding, all on just pennies on the dollar because he knows how to bounce checks and run the system. So, moral of that story, no checks. Watch out.
Well, I mean, those are unique situations, but yeah, they happen. I don't want to scare anybody, though. I mean,
it's really not just.
They're honest, and you do have to watch for red flags, but don't be foolish. I mean, recognize the scam when you see it, but if it's have something in play. I mean, the ball's in your court when you're doing emergency work. You want me there or not? They're going to have to kind of do things by your rules. You don't want to make your rules so incredibly difficult to follow that no one can follow them, or maybe demanding cash isn't always going to work.
Yep, there's just times where they won't, especially if it's something that happened. The DJ calls that morning and says, "Oh my God, we had one of our DJs, my partner at the time, he went motorcycling that morning and broke his leg.
Right.
We had no backup for him, so he went to the emergency room. They splinted his leg, and he DJ'd the wedding with his leg up on a stool." As it all splinted up. But that would have been a prime example. He would have had every right because he had it wasn't a compound fracture, but it was a complete fracture where they ended up having to put pins in it on Monday. So he was in that rough a shape.
There are legitimate reasons somebody can't show, but I mean, if I know a lot of and I don't like doing it this way for part of this reason. I know a lot of DJs who require payment in full before they even perform.
Yep.
I like to get like I said before, I like to get my payment in full after the performance. Deposit partial, but not the full payment, because things do come up. And when they do come up, you've locked these people down. You may have their cash, they can't even use it, and then you got to refund it. They're not always going to have cash for a lot of reasons. I don't have cash. If I got it in my pocket right now, I'd be lucky to have $5 and some little pieces of
lint
or something in there. But I always have cards, and I have multiple cards. So I can always, if in an emergency situation, what do? You use credit card, swipe that card. People can swipe that card. Yeah, there are ways that I suppose people could go back and fight it or whatever, but I think it's still a pretty safe bet, especially if you perform services.
Yeah, overall, I mean, we're talking, been doing this for 30 years now, and in that 30 years, I had probably 50 less than 2 week events, and I've had 2, maybe 3 that have been negative, and I've also had some that have been planned months out. And there was one that the guy was going to stiff us, and he knew it from the beginning. So beyond the retainer, that was about the extent of what we were going to get because he knew how to work their system.
Right.
So, I mean, there are people out there, but most of them, if you're cautious, and our biggest red flag we should have done is when we quoted a very high number and he didn't flinch at the high number. To a point, it's almost like today's thing where, hi, my name is Philip and I'm getting married in, 20th of November, 2018, and wondering, if you're available and if you take credit cards, and oh, by the way, I'm hearing impaired.
It's always
Those scams, this was the early incarnation of those scams where basically, you tell them, oh yes, my DJ is 2,000 and they'll send you a check for 4. This was that type of guy. So having a little, we were a little naive in that situation. And that was, to a point, that was our fault. We shouldn't have been naive like that. But two situations after 30 some years. Yeah, that's not a bad batting average.
Yeah, don't let that stuff scare you. Just be aware.
Yeah, just be smart.
I mean, I haven't been stiffed. I haven't been stiffed on anything that I've done. I've either worked with people that I know, have a relationship with one way or another, be another DJ company or a client or an agency, or they're playing by my rules. So set your rules up, whatever you're comfortable with, and play by them.
Mm-hmm.
And having that account for Square, I think is a really good thing to have. Understand how it works, use it.
Yep.
PayPal is a good backup at a pinch. I think you can just, hey, this is my email address. As soon as I see that deposit go through, we're good. Be ready. Be ready with any kind of lights that you might need charged for uplighting services. If you're doing, your computers, make sure your music's updated.
Mm.
Don't rely on internet connections. Please don't do this. I will urge this for anybody who wants to stream at their events.
Yeah.
Don't rely on this because you never know where you're going to end up. You might end up in some old building with, 6-foot walls and you cannot get a signal through them.
Yeah.
That's not the hall's fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
You should have this stuff on your drive. Just be ready. Be ready for any situation that you could reasonably think of. And have it in your truck or have it ready to go into your truck, at least, and be ready to go if you're interested in doing some of this emergency stuff.
Yeah. And that's, that with my truck, it basically excluding camping. Otherwise, it is set for the season, meaning it's set for high school dances. In about 2 weeks, it'll get loaded for high school dances and it's going to sit. It's been sitting with a small wedding system, because there have been those times where in 3 p.m. on a Saturday, holy cats, our DJ isn't, can you make it? And I bet I've done a dozen of those over the years. And that means that I'm getting there just in time to, and they're like, I don't know who you are, but thank you for being here, kind of a thing. And it's like, okay, can you guys write your names down so I will know who you are? That happens. And I've had some of those that have led to some of my best referrals, as far as that I've done one of those, and then they've referred me to everybody they know that this is the guy.
Well, I was going to bring that up too. I mean, there's wins on this, because if you can go in last minute and make it look like, nobody knew that I was the last minute DJ on Saturday, except for the wedding party and the parents. No one else knew it. Everybody else there figured that I've been working with this couple for a year.
Yeah.
So we were able to pull it off like that. And but the wedding party, oh my gosh. I mean, they were wonderful and they were so cool to talk to. And you better believe that if anything ever comes up where they need a DJ, they're going to be thinking about me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is an excellent source of showing people what you're made of and what you're capable of doing. And they even commented, they said, yeah, well, we know that it took so long to prep our wedding with our DJ. I can't believe you came in and did it. And you didn't know about it until 6 o'clock last night. That's what I do, know?
And this is that experience. This is why people pay more to have us there. And I know when we were you talked about experience and such, and be able to come in and do that. I would, if there was a situation, I would have someone like Brian or myself who've been in this industry for 20 plus years, who have the experience way over someone who has been, in his 5 years or less. And the 5 year or less might be able to put on a great show after they planned and prepped and things, but they haven't announced as many wedding parties as we have. They haven't experienced as many first dances that aren't going quite, people aren't where they need to be just exactly right. That experience of oh, wait a second, there's the bride. We were going to do the father-daughter dance, and dad just took 3 steps the wrong direction. Now I could make that announcement and do that, but now I have to do something to bring dad back and bring his attention back to me, and I have to do it tactfully, because if I don't do it tactfully, it's going to make him look like a heel. So how do you do that? There's these little nuances and such that make
It's a very general statement to say that, and I agree. But there are people out there who are absolute rock stars.
Oh, sure, there definitely is.
They haven't been in it this long, but they're so good. They're so good, and I think 5 years in, could I have pulled it off? Sure.
Oh, certainly could pull it off.
But 5 years in my career was a very long time ago, and there was probably less of a expected of the DJ back then. So that's a fair comment as well. Yeah. But no, it's cool, and I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to look at my calendars every year, and I'm going to see how did I do with these bookings. Maybe I don't have to throw as much ad dollars as I thought I did. Maybe I don't have to work as hard to book my summer as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Because this kind of work exists in my market and in Chicago, which is right down the road. And I can make a really good living off of this. I believe I can.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being kind of known as that backup DJ, because there are a lot of single operator DJs out there who might have things pop up, whether it's a call for an extra event that they could send your way, or a time when, if someone like Art all of a sudden is sick the day of an event, he would have a level of comfort knowing that he can give you a call and say
something happened in his family or whatever. And that's the thing. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, or I don't know if I've punctuated it, but when I first started talking about these last minute events, one of the big questions, like on Facebook or social media, or even on YouTube, that people have been asking is, why didn't the DJ come? What happened to the DJ?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah,
I don't care what happened to the DJ. I don't care why. To me, that's reality television. That's gossip crap. I don't care why. All I care about is that somebody needs somebody to step in and handle a job.
And that's what you're there for.
And that's what I'm there for. And that's what I'm, going to do. Ask questions before you commit. I mean, if it's something you're not comfortable with, if you, hey, yeah, we need a DJ last minute. Okay, great, I'll do it. Yeah, by the way, it's all Spanish, and then you don't speak Spanish. It's like, okay, well, you just shot yourself in the foot.
Very much.
You're not going to do them any good there. So, get a scope of work, figure out how many people are there, figure out if it's something you can handle reasonably on a last minute basis, and go for it. And it's really helpful. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of folks out there, even some folks in this chat, do not do the single setup hall setup breakdown. They don't do it. They have assistants come in for every event. Mm-hmm. Most DJs that I know have somebody who, this doesn't matter what kind of event there is, they've got these setup people who come in. I'm the weird one who doesn't. If you can build a system that you can handle by yourself without struggle, and you're able to keep it in your truck, and you're able to just show up at the event and set it up by yourself without a big, hassle, you're going to be probably at an advantage, because you're not going to have to hustle to find last minute help to load in and break down and all that stuff. You can get a call at 3:30 on a Saturday, and with a quick shower and an hour commute, I mean, you could reasonably be there at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You could, if you don't have to try to scramble and find freaking roadies,
Yeah. And that's always gets to be a challenge.
It's something to think about. I mean, can your system, or do you have a system, that is functional for the average size event, and you can handle yourself? If you don't have a system like this, maybe it's time to think about building one for cases like this.
Yeah.
Where that roadie doesn't show up, or where you just don't have time to hustle this roadie up.
Or you need to throw things in the back seat of the car and head off down the road quick.
Yeah, that too.
Been there, done that. Well, gang, we're going to wrap things up tonight. Thank you guys for being with us this evening. We are going to be back next Tuesday night. If you guys have got a topic or something you'd like us to address in one of the Tuesday night shows, just reach out to Brian or myself and such and throw those out. You can go to his Facebook page, and he's posting different videos and thought questions throughout the week. Just let us know that, say, hey, guys, tackle this one, and we'd love to hear more and find out more. So we'll definitely look at those comments and such. So once again, thank you guys. Have yourself a great evening. Good night, everybody.